Good morning, folks. I'm Dan. 701 Project. Tooling, we are working on the C-frame press again today. Um, and I'll show you what we've accomplished so far. This was my 1 by 2 1/8 inch 3/4 or 1 by 2 by 1/8 inch rectangular tubing. I've cut both my pieces so they'll set like this. Our oil light bushings will fit in a little cartridge on the end type of thing, and that will be where our ram or our rivet set goes through. So we're going to take and I'm going to weld this in that position. I'm just going to MIG weld it, wire feed it. I contemplated TIG welding it, but most people are going to wire feed these or stick weld them, so that's going to be a little more common process, so that's the way I'll do it. This piece is 6 inches long to the point, the longest point, and then they're cut at a 45-degree angle. This one started at, well, this one is 22.5 inches long, same 45-degree angle, and on this end I've just taken and set it up in the drill press. Actually, I set it up in the mill, but you can set it up in your drill press, and I just took a hole saw. It was set on an edge like this. Took a hole saw and did my partial cut there, so it gives you a nice even setup around the end, and then the bushing holder will set like that, and we'll just weld that in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this out to the welding table and we'll weld that up and weld our cartridge in the end. The little, what I'm calling a cartridge to hold my oil light bearings. 2 oil light bearings, one top and one bottom, 1/2 inch ID, 3/4 inch OD, and they're, I believe, 1/2 inch long total. They were $3 a piece over at, Ace Hardware's where I ran to, and this is what they had. What I was originally looking for was a bushing that had a thick enough wall that it would fit just inside a piece of 3/4 inch pipe or even 1/2 inch pipe, so it was easy, cheap, and everybody could assemble them that way. I found nothing that really matched that would do a good job without work on either the bushing or the little cartridge, as I'm calling it. The easiest way to do this is if you're ordering materials from Speedy Metals, Online Metals, whatever the online source is just buy a 1 inch OD by 1/2 inch ID Shelby tubing or thick wall tubing. And that's going to be the easiest way to build these. What I ended up and did is I'm still using my 3/4 inch pipe, but I just turned a little puck to go in each end, and I'm going to weld those solid, then I'll go back and bore them. So I've got about 3/8 or 1/2 inch support down inside each of these. I'm going to weld the ends solid, set them up in the lathe, and bore them. So I've got my 1/2 inch or my 3/4 inch ID to accept those oil light bushings. I turned a ram to go down in it, and this is a stop collar there again, Ace Hardware. You can get them Amazon, MasterCard is going to have them. This piece I believe was 9 inches long to fit this, 8 inches long. Is long enough to fit it. I just drilled it with a number 12 drill. There again, I set them up in the lathe and faced off both ends, gave them a little chamfer on either end, and on this end I drilled it with a number 12 drill to accept the rivet set, which there again, they snap right in and it retains. And they've got the little spring-loaded collar on your rivet set, so that retains them in place. It won't go anyplace. Once you've got them set up and everything finished, whatever spring you choose, and I'll go back and see if I can find a spring. I haven't bought a spring yet to go on it. If you're using this style collar, you're going to want to drill into your shaft just a little bit to detent that, because if you pounded on it for a spar or two, why, it's going to loosen up and move. So you just want to spot that in the shaft and do it. When you fit these up, you want the bushings to be a light press fit. I mean a light press fit into the end of each of your tubing or whatever you're using to maintain your oil light bushings. What happens if you've got a hard press fit in them is your shaft's not gonna slide on it. It's not gonna fit through. It'll compress that oil light bushing. So you're by far better to go in and polish the inside of your tube than you are trying to polish out the inside of an oil light bushing. Been there, done that, and you're better off. If you have to do that, the best way to do it is to go in and ream it, and that can be done if you've got the capabilities to do that. But most people in their home shop are not going to have a reamer the proper size or an expandable reamer with guides to be able to accurately ream that. And there again, it doesn't have to be extremely accurate, but you want a nice sliding fit on there, so it's easier and faster just to fit your tubing so that you've got a real light press fit with your bushing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out to the welding table. I'm going to weld those pieces up and I'm going to weld the ends of this cartridge. Then I'll come back in and turn it on the lathe or bore it on the lathe. I probably won't show that because that's just something that we've either seen before or we're not going to have the capabilities in the shop to do. Anybody that does is going to know how to do that. So we'll bore that out to accept our bushings, and then we'll come back and start fitting it, and we'll fit it to the base. Okay, that'll take care of that. It's ready to set up in the lathe. And this one, let's just put a little tack on either side here. Okay, we'll let those cool for a few minutes. We'll go ahead and grind those off smooth. There's plenty of penetration there. And we'll take our little piece of pipe in and set it up in the lathe and bore that out for our bushings. Then we can come back and weld our pipe into the other end and clean that up. Then we'll be ready to align it to the base and weld the base and the overarm together. I have bored my piece of pipe with my plugs in the end to accept my oil light bushings. I don't know if that's going to show up very well out here or not. And we're getting ready to weld them onto the cutout in the overarm. And I added just a little bit of length over my 2.5 inch length, so I'm going to set it up towards the top just a little bit. Doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, and that should self-align enough to where I'm not too awful concerned about that. It will set up square in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and weld that in place. Then I'm going to go back in, press in my bushings, and I'll use that to align it to the base. Okay, I'll smooth those up just a little bit, and that section will be done. But if you find these videos helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. If you hit that bell icon, why, you'll know when I put out a new video. And thanks for taking the time to watch.